It's cute.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Isn't it cute?
It's cute. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Invincible podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends sit around and talk all things Invincible, a comic book by Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley. I am one of your hosts, Ryan. Joining me today is TJ.
Oh, hello.
And Bill.
CJ.
Oh, hey, it's Bill.
Did I say end animated series?
No, you didn't. Missed it this time.
Ooh, comic book and animated series, because we just got episode 5 of the Invincible animated series. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great, but I'm sad
You're
that we
sad?
officially have less Invincible to watch now than we have watched. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
It's most of it is behind us. That's fucking sad.
Yeah, it's sad. Here's a question for you guys. Do you feel like we've gotten more storyline, more just content, more Invincible stuff in these 5 episodes than you would have predicted a year ago?
There is so much, and I know that this is blasphemy for any comic book fan to say this about any kind of media that reboots into media from comic books, but there's a lot that's better in the animated series than there is in the comic book, because they expand on all that stuff. And I don't think we were talking about this with a friend of ours through group text. I personally don't think that that's going to last past season 1. I think that once we get into season 2, we're going to be like, oh, the comic is so much better. You know what I mean?
No way. And
do you think the animated series is going to continue to be better than the comic?
Yeah, and we were talking to Kyle, I think it was, about it. Yeah. And I think that the show is doing a better job of building the universe, but I don't know if it's better than the comic yet, because the really big things haven't happened yet. I mean, the only thing so far is Nolan killing the Guardians. And in my opinion, that was better than the comic book. So if that's any indication of what's going to happen, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think they're doing a fucking great job.
Yeah.
You know? You know what I also said too? If it gets picked up for a season 2, it will not get canceled until it's finished. That's what I think.
I hope so, man. I feel like
I really believe that.
I agree that getting from 1 to 2 is probably the hardest leap that it has to take.
That's a hot take.
There's no way.
You know what? This is what I see, Bill. But this is the thing, Bill. It will end whether it's as many seasons as they want or not. You know what I'm saying?
It will end.
What I'm saying is if they want it to be 6 seasons,
if it's going to end, I want it to be Dollhouse. I want it to be.
That's what I'm saying.
Like they are aware that this is going to be the final season, and we're just gonna pack everything into one season, but still make it good and just make it fucking insane.
That's what Dollhouse did. That's what I was saying, Bill. Nuts. So if they get picked up for season 2 and they're like, yeah, we want 6 seasons, and season 4 comes along and they're like, we're not going to get a season 5. They're going to finish it in season 4. So I think no matter what, if we get a season 2, the show will end properly. Might not be as long as they wanted or as we wanted, but it will end properly. That's all. You know, who knows?
Yeah. But I mean, would we know that?
No.
Because they'll know that before we do, and they'll be like season 4, the final season, and they'll be at like, I don't know, volume 5, and we're like, oh shit, they got a lot to pack into this.
Well, yeah.
They can end it on their own terms too. I mean, Walking Dead isn't going to end it the way the comic did.
Guys, I
know that.
I can't believe, like, still my sister FaceTimed me, and she's like, did you get episode 5 yet? And she was like, well, how was it? Like, is it dropping tonight? Being today? and like, her and my brother-in-law couldn't fucking wait for it. And I thought that people would stop being as excited for it after the big thing in the end episode 1. And people are like way hungrier for it. Everybody that I talk to.
So I was going to say that, Ryan, when you first asked the question, was one thing that I'm already starting to miss a little bit, and we knew it was coming, was kind of feeling privileged that we had this like best kept secret, and now the secret's out, and like everybody's an Invincible fan now, and everybody's making like certain things, and making
it's always like
original
I love
art, and it's like I do love it, and it's what I wanted for Invincible, but there's no going back now to that.
No, right.
This is just how it's going to be forever. And I love that.
Well, like we've always talked about, unlike with Walking Dead, we got the end of the comic. We had our finale. You know what I mean? Like, and this is all just the icing on the cake.
Not only that, but in terms of like episode per episode, Invincible is already better than season 1, episode 5 of The Walking Dead was.
Yeah.
Because by then it was like totally off the rails, and still Invincible is like doing fantastic. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, I was going to say, I don't know how real this is, or if it's, I mean, we retweeted it on our Twitter account from Real Good app. And it was, again, I believe Simon Recchiopa retweeted this. So I don't know. I just don't know how true it is, but it's a top most watched TV shows on all streaming services. Now, these streaming services don't give that kind of information, so I'm not sure how this is aggregated or whatever, but it does it for movies and TV shows, and it was listed. Invincible is number 1, followed by Irregulars and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Irregulars looks awesome.
Attack on Titan. That. You know what I mean? Walking Dead's number 9. Like it seems like it's believable, but the fact that it's number 1, whether this is real or not, like shit, like it must be doing well, right? That's the thing that kind of stinks about it being on a streaming service is they don't really share those numbers.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I hope it's accurate. I have my doubts, but I'm also kind of a pessimist. I kind of want like Skybound to be like...
Or Amazon.
This is what it's doing.
No, Amazon would be, yeah.
Or Amazon, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. All right. We are the Invincible Podcast. You can email us if you want to be a part of the show. We've got some great emails coming up in a little bit. You can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. We have a website where you can find our episode lists, a reading guide if you're getting into Invincible or you want to check out the tie-ins and where they fit in the universe chronologically. Over at theinvinciblepodcast.com. We actually got a new review. We asked for some last week, and we've got a new iTunes review. This is from Eric Slater. It says, "This is fantastic. I don't know how I went so long without knowing this podcast existed. As a longtime fan of the Invincible comic, I only recently discovered them thanks to their incredible interview with Robert Kirkman himself. Definitely doing a deep dive into the backlog now. Oh, between this podcast and the new Amazon series, it's an awesome time to be an Invincible fan." Thanks, Eric.
I just feel like we need to go back and just delete the first 49 episodes.
Just put an intro on all of them.
Bury them.
They're not that bad.
Like, oh my gosh. The first episode that I like, the one I'll go back to, what was, Ryan, I think you and I did we do the first, just me and you?
We did the first, me and you. Yep.
And it was like a Rexplode deep dive, right?
No, actually the first one was called Looking Up. And it was just us talking about ourselves and what we want to do with the podcast. Then Bill and I talked about a theoretical or hypothetical,
that's right,
movie or TV show, or adaptation. And then TJ, you and I did a deep dive into Rexplode.
It was we're so bad. I mean, we're still bad. We're still really bad. But like,
come a long way though.
We're really bad. I think we've come a little ways.
Now we do. I don't think. Now we're twice as bad because we are also the Oblivion Song podcast. If you haven't checked that out and you want some good Robert Kirkman stuff other than Invincible, go check out Oblivion Song. It's a great comic book.
The Oblivion Song podcast is extremely jealous of the Invincible podcast.
It'll have its time.
Oblivion Song is on a hiatus right now, and Invincible is thriving.
If there were ever a time for Oblivion Song to take a break, though, now is it. Just
thank fuck.
Thank God. But also, I will say that, I mean, now's your chance because the final 6 issues are going to start coming out in June, so now's your chance to kind of catch up on the first
2 months.
30. Yeah, on the first 30 issues.
It's exciting.
Before the final 6. So,
yep.
And it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah,
definitely worth checking out.
I do want to say right at the top of this episode, just a friendly reminder to everybody: we do spoil the show, and or at least everything that's been released. So this is only going to be up to episode 5. And we are going to talk a little bit about the comic book. We have a hard rule that we won't spoil anything past issue 25 if you're just getting into it. We will be gentle around spoilers leading up to that. And we're not going to blatantly spoil anything out of nowhere. We are aware that there are a lot of new readers and a lot of people getting into the comics. Check out the new reader episodes that we've done, or even when you get towards the end of the series, we did single issue reviews as they were coming out. So we have lots of shows out there for everyone to check out. All right. we're going to go right into the Invincible news. Anything that's been added, that's come out within the last week, because it's only been a week since we've done this. Right away, the day the new episode went live on Invincible Friday, we got a couple new things.
When episode 4 went up.
When episode 4 went up, yes. There was a new poster. Remember that awesome poster that they released?
Oh, so sick.
There's another one, and it was, themed around, that episode. So there's probably going to be a new poster every week with each episode. Very excited to see this week's poster. There was also the new merch that dropped. This one was a black or white shirt with the Invincible logo, but within the Invincible logo were a ton of characters. So pretty cool.
And those are the ones that are only on sale for 1 week, right?
Yep.
From Friday to Friday.
Yep. So if you're hearing this, that one is no longer available, and there is a new one which we don't know about yet, but that'll be going live
Thursday
when you're hearing this. Something else that was pretty awesome that they that we didn't expect was they dropped a whole bunch of new bonus content over on Amazon Prime under the X-Ray tab. So every episode has what they call a commentary, which is a kind of behind-the-scenes deep dive on the episode and the different character motivations or the actors and such. And then there's also a behind-the-scenes art of the art, basically of the series. And today they just dropped a behind-the-scenes part 2 for the art behind the series.
How now is there a commentary per episode?
Yep.
So for how long are they? Like 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's significant. It's not just like a 30-second clip.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've been watching Rick and Morty on HBO, and since they put it on HBO, they did that at the end of every episode. There's a little 2 to 4 minute blurb on the episode, and it's very, very
really
cool. Yeah. Yeah. So I haven't done. Have you listened to any of them for Invincible?
I watched everything except what was released for episode 5.
Yeah.
And they're great, dude. In fact, the behind the scenes, the making of 1 for the whole series, the first part 1, showed a couple character designs that we haven't seen yet. Yeah. But yeah, pretty cool. So, watch at your own risk. It's nothing huge, especially if you know the comics, but it's still cool to see. I can't believe we got the second one. I can't wait to watch that tonight. I grew up watching, obsessing over the Lord of the Rings extended DVDs and 12 discs of bonus footage and content. I love this shit. I'm so excited. This is why one of the reasons I wanted Invincible in physical media. Give us the Blu-ray or whatever, because I want those special features, and I think this is great. So yeah, you're gonna have to watch them, Bill.
Yeah, I'll watch them tonight for sure.
One more thing, last Invincible Friday, Clancy Brown was the one who did the live tweet. So I started my episode on my phone, listened to most of it, and then was able to kind of check the tweets that he was tweeting as we went along with the episode. One thing that came out of it that we were not way off on, but it was a little hard to tell, was at the end of episode 4 that after mid-credit stinger was that he had left his journal in Debbie's closet. We thought it was some sort of bug, like a audio recording device or a two-way or something like that, because you also hear him speak. You thought he was in the closet?
No, I thought he was somehow communicating through hell.
Yeah.
I asked every single person I asked every person who I know had watched it if they knew what was going on in that scene, and none of them did.
Yeah.
So I think that it was just not well enough to kind of show that.
Yeah.
But
I wish. So it was his journal. That was what he said
right.
On Twitter, and it's very clear once you've seen episode 5. So maybe it's not a big deal. It was just. It could have been a little bit more clear. I agree, Bill. Mm-hmm. Make it more clear that maybe just show his notebook sticking out. But
they could have just shown it. Yeah,
because it has a very, distinct cover, exactly. But so that was one thing that I wanted to touch on before we jumped into this one, a kind of a correction to last episode that we did. So that does. I mean, also, the theories that we would have had afterwards, knowing that's the Notebook, is I think even better, because then it's like she can find this and find just notes. It's not just going to be him listening in on them, which is what I thought it was.
Right.
This is way better than what it was. I wish it had been more clear. All right, so that's it. We're getting ready to jump into episode 5.
Yeah, great segue.
Are we gonna go over episode 4 emails?
Yes. So we're not talking about episode 5 yet. Sorry about that. I'll kick us off. I have one here from Faye. Faye says, "Hello, Invincible Podcast. My name is Faye, and I have been a longtime fan of the comic since I was a teen. I recently managed to rediscover the series prior to the show, and let me tell you, it was like falling in love all over again. But enough about that, because I've got a question. What underrated villains from the comic would you love to see adapted in the show?" So underrated. None of the big timers.
I don't think any of them are underrated in the comic, though. I think they all get their little moments to shine, but...
I think there's one clear one.
Go ahead, TJ.
I mean, Ryan and I will both agree that Powerplex. And I would put him as a B character.
He's
at the top of the B characters.
Okay, yes. Because that's
he's
my
still
first...
a B character nonetheless.
Yes, that's my first thought.
Powerplex got his own comic. He got his own cover.
But he's in less than someone like Tether Tyrant.
He's in less.
Tether Tyrant. But Tether Tyrant would be the next guess. Or the next guess.
Tyrant's in more than...
Yeah.
He is, and he has...
That's what I'm saying.
He has... Well, I wouldn't say that they have... He has less of an arc, because Powerplex really does have a really nice arc throughout the entire thing, but it's literally just after the first issue, it's just like, here's a panel, here's 2 panels, and then you're done. Yeah. But, I mean, I can't really think of...
I got another one I'm going to throw out there.
Who you got?
Octoboss.
Oh, yes. That's the answer.
Yeah.
Yep. No, you're right. You're right. Octoboss is absolutely...
But I think Octoboss is he played his role. I don't know if I could watch more of Octoboss. Yeah,
crazy. Octoboss is so perfect. He's built for animation.
Faye's asking, who would you like to see in the show that is a underrated villain?
Oh, yeah, Octoboss. But we're not saying going to get him.
Faye wasn't asking, who would you like to see more of in the show?
Okay.
What's an underrated one that may or may not show up in the show that you want to show up in the show, because they're underrated, so they might not show up. And I think Octoboss is a pretty...
Okay. I guess I would say Octoboss. He's absolutely going to be in the show, though. He's 1,000% going to be.
I really hope so. Yeah. All right.
Good question.
Yeah, thanks, Faye. All right, who's up next?
I can go. Amir Hackett writes in and says, "So I don't have a question, but I just want to say I've read all the comics thanks to you guys and Greg Miller. I've been watching the show with my girlfriend, and she's loving the relationship with Nolan and Debbie. I can't wait for her to keep watching and see that big old twist. I'm not sure how she's going to handle it. How do you guys feel with them showing Nolan so much more loving than they did in the comics? It's going to make that thing so much more sad to watch."
It makes so much more sense, because there comes a point, and we're gonna be delicate right here. There comes a point in the comics when it's it's very clear how much he loves his family.
It's spoilers. We can speak spoilers.
Loose spoilers here. I mean, Nolan does love his family. In the comics, that wasn't clear until much later. Showing it now makes it way more believable.
Yeah, yes, that's true, but I kind of don't like how far they're leaning into him actually loving his family.
Do you think that's...
I like the idea of him faking it to a point to where he then believes it after the fact. Right now, when they were sitting at dinner and they were like, "Do you trust me?" He really wants her on his side so they can still continue a life together. In the comic, it's very much I don't give a fuck about her or anybody.
That was too far on the other side, though. So I think that, Bill, you're saying that it's leaning too far on the way the show is. The comic, I think, was going a little too far in that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I disagree with kind of all of it. I mean,
that doesn't surprise me.
I mean, I don't think Nolan is that loving in the show, like, any more than the comic. And Bill, you just brought up all these moments where, like, oh, he's like, he really wants Debbie on his side because he loves her. No,
is it because he loves her?
I think that is every single time that we get those moments, he's just trying to cover shit up. Yeah. He's trying to get her on his side because he doesn't want her to suspect anything. He wants to cover up. They're doing a good job.
You know what? No, you're right. They're doing a good job. He it's both. He is doing it for selfish reasons, but he also really does care. It's going to be more believable for him to actually admit that he cares.
Do you know why I have a problem with it? I really want him to say that line. I want him to say,
they might.
I don't fucking care. Like, and he can't now. Like, he can't do it because we already know. He fucking loves her. Like,
the only thing that I don't care for is the fact that she is suspicious, because I want it to hit like it did in the comic, where she is just. It's going to hit in the same way, like she's going to react in the same way, but I feel like I want it to hit us. I want it to hit the people that haven't read the comic the way that it hit us when we read the comic. Like, she had no fucking idea. Idea. And this, she does. She kind of saw it coming.
I don't think the big thing that's going to hurt Debbie is the fact that he did it. I think it's going to be the fact that if they do it like in the comic, that he does not care about her. Like, he would rather
and that he left.
Do what he has to do and then fucking leave, because that's what crushes Debbie. Not the fact that he fucking murdered all these people, but the fact that, like, their marriage is, spoiler alert, like, I mean, we've been talking about a fucking lie.
Yeah.
So I think that it still could work, TJ. I think that it will hit really hard if they do it right, but I'm nervous.
I mean, this conversation that we're having, I think was had and thought out to completion long before they'd made the decision to have Debbie do this and for their relationship to be like this in the show. They know what they're doing. This isn't some little thing that they're doing in the show that, like, this is like almost the main, plot in the show right now.
For the last 2 episodes almost.
They know what we're talking about. They know how it's going to go and why that reaction is going to still work.
I think episode 7, if it ends with, the big twist.
We need to talk.
And it's going... Actually, I got 2 things to say on that. But I think that the beginning of that episode or mid-episode, there's going to be a big thing between Nolan and Debbie, and they're just gonna it's just gonna be so much love there, and then it's gonna hit.
I think that was,
I'll say, like, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think that was Rome. I don't think
it's gonna get another moment like that because she's now suspicious again.
I don't know if it's gonna go back and forth that many times. I think that was it.
Maybe
after seeing the costume hidden. No, sorry, go on.
One other thing, just not to get off topic, but it's just I kind of caught myself. I thought about this as I was saying it. We keep talking about, like, spoilers for issue 11 and the big twist. There really isn't anymore. Like, I feel like that's almost doing it a disservice to people who haven't read the comic. Like, saying, like, oh, like, the big twist is coming and probably going to be in the finale. Like, I mean, there isn't really a twist. We know that Nolan killed all the Guardians. It happened in episode 1. The only thing that they don't know is why he did it, but even why he did it isn't, like, that big of a deal. I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
Not that big of a deal in terms of, like, shock, but it's more of, like, what it means.
Like, I think, right.
For going forward.
It is a big deal. But if I keep telling, like, my nephew, who's really into the show right now, who hasn't read the comic, if I keep telling him, like, yo, like, wait to the finale, like, the big twist, like,
no, it's not a twist, it's an event.
It's not a twist, but it's, like, a big thing that happens, and then it turns out, like, oh, I'm actually, like, evil.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I would call it a twist.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Bill, you got one?
Yeah. So I have one here from Nicholas that says, "Hey guys, been loving the show, both Invincible and the podcast. I had a theory that I posted everywhere else about the Rome Dragon attack that I wanted to throw out there. Is it possible that Nolan could have staged the attack?" And then he goes out to talk about how it's just coincidence that they were there on vacation as the dragon attacked. We know who the dragon is. So I think this is very interesting from someone who I don't think that Nicholas could have read the comic series with this idea. But it's a pretty cool idea. The fact that Nolan went there and asked Debbie if she trusts him. And depending on her answer, he would kill her and then blame it on the dragon attack and say that she died there, or not kill her if she said she trusts him. That's the theory.
That's why he's so glad that he says that, because then he doesn't have to.
It's a really cool theory and some cool fan fiction, but unfortunately, we know who the dragon is. I mean, bringing up the dragon, I mean, not only does it come up again this episode, but it came up in what was it, episode 1? Episode 1.
You know, he fought a dragon. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Great. I've got one from Paddy. Paddy.
Cool.
Hey, everybody. After the first 3 episodes, I reread the first 20 issues to refresh my memory for comparisons. Now, this is about the pacing. He says the show improves on a lot of things. Amber, Nolan, the murder mystery, Debbie, learning to fly, etc. But I actually prefer the pacing of the comic a lot more. In the comic, time seems to actually pass. The show has very fast pacing. The teen team existed for like 1 episode, and then the Flaxons felt more like one-off villains rather than continuous threats. Robot and Samantha's relationship hasn't really been established, and his storyline is already pretty far ahead. I know it's unfair to directly compare 4 episodes with 20 or so issues, and they switch around a lot of stuff, but I have no idea how much time has actually passed in those 4 episodes. A few days in episode 1 maybe, 3 days between the invasion attempts, attempt 1 and 2 according to Rex, and 2 weeks in episode 4, but that's it. So my question is, which pacing do you guys prefer so far? And then he has a follow-up question, but we'll talk about this first.
He mentioned Robot and, well, not Samantha.
Eve.
I think he said Samantha.
Robot and Eve, right? Robot and
I think he
Amanda.
meant Amanda.
I think you're right. You're right.
I think he meant Amanda. But, I mean, obviously he's writing this in at the end of episode 4, but there was a little quip in episode 5 that we'll get to.
Yeah.
A lot in episode 5.
But I see what you mean. It does feel like it's moving pretty quick. It's like, hey, here's Rex, and then next episode it's like, oh, Rex is already like doing some shady stuff. That seems pretty fast. You know what I mean? It does.
They have to, though. They have to.
I feel like that's the beauty of animation and it being like not live action, but something that you're not reading, is that they don't have to take the time to explain things to you. They can just be like, literally, like just throw a sentence out there and be like, oh shit, like something's going on here, or oh shit, like there's like Robot might be, you know, thinking this or into Amanda, or like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I like that.
The pacing is way better in the show. Like, it's like I would much rather watch season 1 so far of the show than read volume 1.
I agree with that, but again, I don't think that's going to last.
I think that it's...
But I hope I'm wrong.
You say that it's better in the show. I just think it's different. I think that it's necessary for the way they're doing it in the show. And, you know, I like the way it's done in the comic. I like the slow build and like really sitting with these characters for a long time and getting to come up with your own theories. And then all of a sudden they start doing things and then you don't see them doing that thing for 3 issues. You can't do that, though. You know, that's just not the way this works. I will say it was, I agree, it was not jarring, but it did seem odd. Like how much time has passed? And episode 5, we'll talk about it.
The beauty of it, too, is that it doesn't matter if it's better in the comic or better in the show, because we have both.
We have both. All right. So. Then Patty goes on to say, now the title card. What do you think of the title card drop? I understand what they're going for, but it lacks the weight to work as punctuation. In my opinion, they either should have the person say Invincible, which they almost did in episode 4, or have a more weighty sound effect. As it is right now, it falls kind of flat every time for me. Love from Germany, Patty.
Awesome.
Germany.
Isn't that awesome?
I agree with that. I like that the title screen is doing like the blood spatter and it's getting bloodier. But I think when it hits, other than episode 5, actually, I think that this one was probably the best one.
It was.
Because it threw me for a loop. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, we didn't get the fucking screen.
Yeah.
Until like 10 minutes in. But yeah, I agree. Like, it's almost like a...
It was actually right smack dab in the middle of the episode.
Oh, wow. Either do it big or don't.
And sometimes it does just kind of... It just kind of happens. And it's...
Yeah,
I don't know. I think like half the time right now it works, and half the time it's just kind of
The reason why my favorite one was episode 4, because it was like they did it just to put it in there, and they made a joke about it, like the guy that was rock climbing on Mount Everest and was like, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, don't worry, and then it's Invincible. And then the next thing you see is him like waving goodbye. Like,
yeah.
I think that's so funny.
Other than the blood splatter, that's pretty cool too. My favorite thing about the title card drop though is the music. It's the fact that it's the theme song, the first like 5 or 6 notes or whatever of the theme song, but every single time it's the instrumental, the style of the theme song is done for that episode. So it's like, okay, funeral episode, it's a really somber version of the theme. This one, it has like this beat. It's like this hip hop beat to the theme song. It's awesome. It's so cool. That's my favorite part about the title drop. The way it cuts off mid-sentence or end of the sentence is still a little jarring. I guess, they know that. It's meant to be, but sometimes it's awkward.
The thing about a title screen is that I don't think that it's necessary. I think that I love that we get more Invincible because they're not wasting 2 or a minute and a half on fucking credits and an intro. That being said, I think that sometimes it can really enhance it. Like, what's your favorite intro to a show that you've ever watched? Like, just comes to your head really quick that you actually watch.
Batman Beyond.
Final Space is really good. I like the music.
Yeah.
X-Men animated series.
Stranger Things.
Yep.
Stranger Things is one where people will sit there and watch it because the music is so great. So I think that you can make an intro hit really hard and be great, but I don't know if Invincible needs it. But to their point, I don't.
Yes. Smallville was great. Smallville. Yeah.
Shut up about Smallville.
Go on.
Yeah.
It was 50-50. Some of it was bad, but some of it was very good. Anyways, I like the title screen. I don't think. They're going to keep it going, obviously, for the rest of the season. They're not. My prediction is that season 2, they're not going to do the same thing, but they're going to do a different trope throughout the entirety of the second season, just a different trope.
I can see that.
Yeah. So
cool. Okay. TJ, you up next?
Sure. Diet Dr. Pepper was a bad choice. Sweet Diet Dr. Pepper. Hold on, I'm pulling this up.
I got one.
Do you know who that is?
No.
What?
The Diet Dr. Pepper guy?
No.
Is Liz within talking distance of you?
No, she's upstairs.
I don't know if
I wonder if Liz knows who that is.
I also don't even know the reference. I don't know what you're talking about.
I also don't.
No.
Sweet Diet Dr. Pepper. That little guy? No. Then it's wasted on you. It's fucking wasted.
I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying.
For the listeners out there, that guy is Justin Guarini, the guy that lost to Kelly Clarkson in season 1 of American Idol.
The Afro guy?
Really?
Yeah.
The Afro?
I just found this out
they did a movie together, right?
A couple weeks ago. Yeah.
From Justin to Kelly.
Anyways, our good friend Jordan Gilbert writes in, and he says, "Hi y'all. Now that we don't have 3 episodes to cover, this should go quick. Love the character/story building with Nolan and Mark at Everest. I wonder if the grandparents thing is true or if a different retelling of what we originally got. Or if it's a retelling of what we originally got. I'd imagine we get a flashback when he tells Mark during the fight. I like the fact that Cecil knows Nolan did it. I remember in the comics Cecil had his suspicions, but no confirmation. When Nolan showed up in the Origins of Cecil Stedman issue, they gave Nolan a lie detector test and he failed it, but Cecil was okay with him protecting the planet because it made his life easier. Also, good call out on the author stuff. Enjoyed the Sequids as it was page for page. Hyped for Battle Beast this week, hoping it's a bloody one. One thing I do hate that I've seen on Twitter is that people have had the nerve to call the end of the first episode edgy for the sake of being edgy because of the gore. Absolutely frustrating. Last to mention, I got my dad and 4 other mutual friends onto the show. Love,
nice.
Jordan.
Excellent. Invincible for dads.
Yeah, you're going to find that with people online as far as the edgy thing. That's just people. I don't think it was edgy for being edgy's sake.
No, it's literally it happened quickly in panels, but, War Woman's head was... her neck was broken and stuff like that.
The whole thing was just that it was jarring because the whole episode was, not
that was the point
at all. I know, but I think that's kind of the point is they're missing the point.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks, Jordan.
Gotcha. I got one from Jose here. Quick thoughts. I'll do quick fire. Hey guys, wanted to share my thoughts on episode 4. He thought that the Debbie suspecting Nolan involvement with the death would be too risky of a change compared to the comic, but that it's paying off really well.
Yep.
And he's being pleasantly surprised. The whole thing with Nolan coming across as an asshole the entire episode, and he loved that. And he really liked the "Do you trust me?" line. Nolan telling Darkblood to go fuck yourself and then floating out of the room was the best, funniest part of the episode.
Agreed.
Biggest plot twist so far has got to be how I've been mispronouncing Sequid this entire time. Welcome to the club, bro.
Squid.
Welcome to the club. Yeah.
Sequid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, you mean Sequid, right? Oh,
but he spelled it Sequid.
Yeah,
like
Sequid.
S-E-E quid. Yeah.
Yep.
Surprised how early we're seeing Cecil's gray attitude from sending Darkblood back to hell to the request to capture the kaiju from episode 3 in case it needs to be used in the future. It's a change I welcome with open arms, especially since I think we only got it to explore this in the book when he hires a certain person. So I'm not going to spoil that because it hasn't happened in the show yet, and it's probably going to be pretty cool when it does happen.
That's very clearly a characteristic of Cecil. And, we know from the comic that he was kind of always like that, but it wasn't revealed to us that he was like that until a little ways in.
Again, I think it's a great, thing that the show is evolving because it's what, if you were like, who's Cecil Stedman? You'd be like, he's this guy that does this stuff. And why not establish that?
Imagine not knowing what kind of character he is until season 2. And think about everything we've gotten with him and how it's progressed the story.
Right. So this is how he thinks the episodes are going to go. They're going to play out. So episode 6, he thinks we're going to get Rhiannon. Episode 7, we could see Atlantis stuff or Darkwing plot. Or maybe Mark goes to hell to find Darkblood.
Dude,
I think that would be sick. And that could be 7. That could be 7.
Yeah.
And then 8 is Nolan versus Mark.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's what I think. Pretty much, I think next episode is D.A. Sinclair. Episode 7, I don't quite know.
Ezra Miller.
I don't quite know what episode 7 is going to be. I just think it's going to end with a cliffhanger that we kind of expect. And then episode 8 is going to start with the big stuff.
I think episode 7 could be
hell.
Could be hell. I think
that'd be cool, man. They've been teasing it.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Damien Darkblood is not out of this season yet at all.
No,
at all. No.
All
right, that's all I got.
What did you say? Say that again.
No more.
Damien Darkblood is not out of the season yet. He's absolutely going to be. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I feel like he's got to come back. I don't know if he has to, but he's got to.
He's definitely going to. I was surprised he wasn't in episode 5.
Yeah.
He kind of was, actually, because it showed flashbacks and stuff of him.
Yeah. All right. Final email here. We got it from Mike Barrett. He says, "Hi, guys. It's Mike Barrett here. I don't have a question. I just want to offer you a huge congrats on how far you've come. I think I discovered the podcast on episode 3 and was lucky enough to be your first fan spotlight guest on episode 10. And here we are almost at episode 100. I say we because this journey that you guys have taken us on has always been about the fans, community, and the comic book that we all love. Your joy and positivity sets you apart from other pop culture media that seems to want to complain about everything. You really do put on a great show, and I'm proud to refer to the people of this podcast people to the podcast as often as I can. Keep up the great work, and a huge early congrats on episode 100. Okay, fine. I guess I'll ask a question. In regards to the R rating, episode 1 was a real slow burn, leaving any notion of an R rating to the last couple minutes. Since then, the show had multiple R-rated moments, including your first F-bomb recently. As we move forward, are there R-rated moments from the comic you think will not appear in the show for some reason or another? As always, love, Mike. R-rated moments from the comic that will not appear in the show.
There's no point not to include them.
That's the thing. I wish I had a better answer. Like, they definitely won't do this. I don't see what they wouldn't do at this point.
I think that they're even going to do the thing that people are kind of like up in the air about.
They're going to do that. They wouldn't be able to. they wouldn't be able to do that like now, but the show is just like the comic. It's going to evolve and get more and more mature by that time, and they're going to be. I think they will. If it gets to that point,
you guys refer how far into the comic?
Issue 110.
110. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. I think they will.
There is an issue where someone gets sexually harassed or what's the word I'm looking for? Assaulted. Thank you. Sexually assaulted. As to who or what or why or when, I'm not going to spoil that. But I really think that, to your point, who said it? TJ Ryan. They couldn't do it now, but they can do it later. Because like we watched the morning show, like that showed a rape happening like from beginning to end, and it was really fucking difficult to watch. Yeah. But I think that it was done tastefully, but then also in a way that's like this is like life, like this happens, you know. And I think that they could do it in a tasteful way. That's the only thing that I think any people have any doubts about them showing. And I think that they probably will.
I mean, other than that, it's just gore. Really. I mean, why not?
Which, my God, after this episode too, like...
Yeah, they'll show it. They'll show it all.
Holy shit, yeah.
Okay. Thank you all for sending in your letters. Remember, you can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. All right, TJ, you're up to bat. Give it to us. Episode 5.
Oh, all right then. Episode 5 is called That Actually Hurt, which is fitting. Mm-hmm. So it opens up with 2 criminals coming out of the back of a warehouse, and they don't really say anything or talk, but...
Should we do...
already.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there. Should we do initial thoughts first?
Sure.
Fucking amazing episode.
It'll be quick, yeah.
Amazing.
This is my favorite episode.
Favorite episode by far.
It was so good. From, I mean, not just action, but comedy. The amount they put into this, the way it was paced, I thought all of it was so good. In my head, I'm like, okay, so what? Titan shows up in the beginning of the episode. They fight in the middle of the episode. The end is, Titan. Yeah, I gotcha. I didn't expect this amount of stuff in this episode. I said after it aired that this one felt really long to me because of just how much there was, and it just kept going. But I loved it.
It was, out of each episode, aside from episode 1, I think it was the most like to the comic, which I like. But even though it was to the comic, I was still like, we watched it together and I was gasping. I was like, holy shit. I was still surprised. Even though I knew everything, I was still completely shocked and surprised. And that says everything. Like,
I can't wait. Like the last episode, don't get me wrong, was great. Mm-hmm. It was really fucking good. But this episode, I can't wait. I think it's almost as impactful as what happened at the end of episode 1. Like, it was fucking crazy what happens.
Yeah, at the episode 1 ended, and I was like super hyped up for the next one. Obviously, I'm excited for all of them when they end, but this is the next one in line where this one ended, and I'm like, holy shit, give me the next one right now.
It's also perfect pacing because episode 4 was all incredible story, but then they come in with episode 5 where they're like, oh, hold on, don't forget, we're still fucking crazy. You know what I mean? And then they just kind of realign
off
that mindset.
The bat too. The top of the episode. All right, TJ, carry on.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So 2 criminals come out of the back of a warehouse, and they are very clearly criminals. They're smoking a cigarette, and we know that only criminals smoke cigarettes. Far off in the distance, down the alley, you see a guy standing there, and it is Titan, and he is in human form, and the fucking beat kicks in, and it's Make Way for the King by Ohana Bam, and it's boom, 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 boom.
How many times have you guys listened to this song since watching this episode?
All day.
Dude,
all day, just
so
on repeat.
good.
I've been fucking walking outside.
It's so good. So he starts charging towards the criminals, and as he's charging, he's changing form into like rock form, covering his whole body in rock. He tackles the criminals through the wall and into the warehouse. There's a whole bunch of criminals in there. They all get their Sorry. They all get their guns out and they're shooting him. Bullets are bouncing off of him. He's having no trouble at all. And he is fucking him up.
Dude.
Fucking
the amount it hits the ground running with the gore in this. Some of the craziest kills. My God.
There's so many little things that I missed the first time, and when I watched it again I was like, oh shit. Like there's a guy that obviously there's the gun through the forehead, there's the guy shooting him and shooting himself, but there's a guy in between aisles and he pushes the aisle and smashes him. The one guy
that's so subtle too. It happens so quickly.
Yeah, in the background. And then there's this other guy that he throws at another guy and he hits him in the chest. And if you look at it, his chest is concaved in with how hard he got thrown or how hard that guy hit him. Fucking brutal. Dude. So brutal. Oh, so good. So awesome action.
Destroys everybody, and he picks up who we think is the last guy, and he picks him up by the neck, and he says, tell Mr. Liu next time I see him on our turf, it's going to be a problem. Basically.
Who's Mr. Liu? Will we find out?
Yes, I hope. Yes, very soon. Yeah.
We'll definitely obviously we will.
Yeah.
But then he fucking kills him
Snaps there. Snaps his neck right after talking to him. What's that?
And then he turns around and sees like a younger guy holding a gun to him, and he goes, "That message was for you."
That's not him. So cool.
Badass.
And then he shoots him anyway.
Shot in the face.
And then he goes. What does he say? He says something along the lines of like, "I'm trying to help you out, kid. Like, you don't want this life." And then he just shoots him in the head. He's like, "What the fuck?" Like, and it breaks the rock, and you can actually see like his human form underneath. And then he like reforms, and he's like, "Just get out of here." And then the kid runs away.
So good. Such an awesome scene.
Then we get Invincible fighting Kilcannon, and it was actually the ending of the first episode where we see him fighting Kilcannon. It turns out to be a YouTube video of that a kid is watching. Maybe
no,
not. YouTube,
I mean it's a second.
It's another fight.
Yeah, he even says, "I'm
ready for you this time."
I'm ready for you this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
which I think is even better. The fact that this is
an ongoing thing.
This is the shit I loved in the comic. You'd be reading an issue, and it's like 20 issues later or whatever it is. It's like, hey, Kilcannon, one panel. It's just Mark doing his patrol, going around.
So have you guys noticed something, or did you notice something about the pacing of this episode, about what it does?
I don't know. What is
it? So it keeps making you think it's one thing and then it's not?
Not quite, no. So talking about it, you're going to see it all day. Every other scene is Titan, Invincible, and it's showing that the two sides of being a hero or a superpowered person. Like, Titan obviously doesn't want to be a bad guy, but he is in a situation where his powers, like, he needs to use them to be bad. Yep. And then Invincible, being privileged and being brought up in this world, can use his powers for good. And like, so the intro is Titan doing gang-related shit, and the scene with Invincible is him being idolized and like recorded. Oh my God, look at this guy, and he's like, just want to protect the city. Like, it's showing the poverty-ridden side of having powers and like the privileged side of having powers. It does it the entire until the title screen hits. It's Titan, Invincible, and it's good, bad, good, bad, good, bad.
Well, I mean, they come straight out and say that too later on in the episode, which we'll get to.
Yeah, but I like
just says it.
But I like how it really plays it, and it's very drastic.
Cool.
Yep. So yeah, his fight with Kilcannon kind of turns into like a YouTube video type of thing, or like an online video that a kid at the high school is watching, and he's like, "That's so dope." And I think that's basically showing that Invincible is becoming a superhero kind of like household name. People know who he is now.
Yeah, you mentioned that during the episode. That was really smart. I like that. It's like, oh yeah, they need to show that, hey, people recognize this hero.
Right.
He's popular.
So then it goes to a scene where Mark is talking to Amber and apologizing for being late for their date. And so I have a question for you guys. He's saying, like, I made it up to you. I got you this Japanese cheesecake. And she's like, do you think I'm going to forgive you just because you went all the way downtown?
He went to Japan.
Cheesecake?
He went to Japan.
Did he, though?
Yeah, he did.
Are we supposed to assume that he went to Japan, or did he just go all the way downtown because it takes 2 seconds for him to do it? You know what I mean?
Here's my stance. My initial thought was he went to Japan. Then thinking about it more, he was fighting Kilkenny downtown. Oh crap! I'm running late. I'm gonna grab some Japanese cheesecake because I'm already downtown. Bring it to my girlfriend. That's why I was downtown, because I had to get you cheesecake. Oh, so you're telling me that you went and got cheesecake because you were late, and that's why you're late? And it's like, so she calls him out on it, but I don't know.
She also says just because you went all the way downtown.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So I agree with what you said. I originally thought Japan, but it could be either. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't
still could
matter.
Be.
But, so yeah, and then they go off. Then we get a scene back to Titan where Titan burns down an apartment building, and the tenants are like, "Dude, like, what did we ever do to you? Like, they're good people." And he comes over to them, and it looks like he's about to like fuck them up, and then he pulls out his wallet or like a wad of cash, and he's like, "Here, take this money, go to this location. They'll put you guys up for a few weeks." Mm-hmm. So, and he's just doing it because his boss is telling him to do that.
I don't think Machine Head told him to pay them and give them a place to stay.
No, he told her to burn the building down.
To burn it down.
Yeah. Burn it down. Okay, just making sure that was clear.
Right. Back to Invincible. Invincible is fighting a woman with like a werewolf head.
Yes.
We don't know this woman from the comics.
What was her name? Roarface. So we didn't know this character. She's not in the comics. I quickly checked the episode just went live on Amazon a little bit ago before we started recording, and one of the trivia was that Corey Walker nicknamed her Roarface because in the script or whatever, it was just he was fighting someone with who's had a face that was roaring. Roarface. And he said that she has a collar on that restricts the ability to turn entirely into a werewolf and keeps it only from the neck up, from the collar up. So only her head is affected by the werewolf curse.
So awesome. So, not to draw parallels again, so in this one, Titan was burning down a building, and in Invincibles, he had accidentally destroyed someone's house.
You're right.
And was being idolized as he's like holding up. He's like, "Oh, sorry." Like,
I'm seeing this.
Because he threw Roarface through an apartment building.
Right. Exactly.
All right.
See.
Let's see. We'll see it. We'll see. Go on.
Next scene, we get Mark at Burger Mart, and they're standing outside, and
I did like him holding up the building. That's from issue 18, like right how it starts, and him just holding it, be like, "All right, yeah, take your time, get your things. I've got this." I thought that was
telling
cool.
the woman to get out. Like, sorry, I destroyed your apartment building.
Yeah. But it was just cool seeing that panel from the comic, and the way it was even like framed and everything looked reminiscent of that. It was cool.
Yep. So outside of Burger Mart, Mark is there talking to his boss, Mr. Sayer, and his boss is giving him shit for being 45 minutes late, and he's sick and tired of him being always late. He is always late every time. And Mark is just straight up like, "You know what? I'm done with this shit. I don't care anymore. I quit." And his boss is like, "How dare you?" Like kind of like freaking out, like pissed off. And then Mark just flies away.
And then he flies away and is no longer employed at Burger Mart. That easily, he was able to quit his job. That easly.
Why are you saying that?
Oh, I don't know.
He keeps talking about this privilege with Invincible.
Got it. And this might even play in a little bit to what you're getting at here, Bill. At this point in the episode, I was like, Mark's acting different. He's super arrogant. He's very cocky. Like, this episode is really playing up the fact that I'm unstoppable, man. I'm invincible. You can't hurt me. Mm-hmm. I can do whatever I want. Screw this. I'm gonna quit. I don't need this. I do whatever I want. When it comes to Titan, several things like this is beneath me. Nolan's stressing that point. This is beneath you, and it's all this. It's kind of getting to his head, and you could see where you've got Titan telling him one thing, Debbie telling him another, Nolan telling him another, and it's all kind of pushing his ego one way or the other. And so I think that's a big part of this episode as well. Sorry.
All right, and now we get a scene where Titan is holding a guy off of a roof, and he's saying, like, "You need to pay up. You need to pay my boss. He's, look, you owe him money." And the guy's like, "Please, man, like, here, just take everything I have," and like throws his wallet to him. Again, he's like being held upside down by his ankle over on top of a roof, about to get dropped. And Titan looks like he's about to drop him, opens up the wallet and sees that this guy has a family. He sees pictures of his family in his wallet, and he kind of throws him back onto the roof and was like, just, you need to pay. He didn't throw him off the roof.
Can I point out something that's probably a coincidence?
Sure.
Unless I'm wrong. The guy that he was holding upside down off the roof, the redheaded guy.
His name
was Gary.
Yeah, I thought that was coincidence too.
Similar to a point in the comics where a redheaded guy named Gary is held upside down off a roof and then thrown back onto the roof.
So are we
I
thinking
think that's still going to happen in the episode or in the animated series.
I can't see that happening to our Amber, that whole storyline. But
I don't think so.
I don't know. But this is a little bit of a coincidence. So I don't know if it's going to happen. Could just be a coincidence. Okay. So that's all.
All right. Now we get Nolan and Mark holding a guy up in the air.
Oh my God.
Holding in kind of the same
fashion.
Damn
it, Bill, you're right. He's holding someone else upside down by his leg. I give up. You're right.
I agree with Bill. Like, it's very apparent that it does go back and forth between the two.
Titan tries to quit his fucking job and is harassed into not being able to.
Yeah.
When Mark was just able to. Like, it's they're so clear. Shut up, TJ.
I think that's
you can't disagree with me when it's fact.
Yeah.
Brian agrees with me, but that's kind of a reach. I saw it on his face.
No way.
Yeah, look at that face. You agree. All right. So again, Mark is holding in a similar fashion a criminal high up in the air by his ankle upside down. And Nolan is there kind of coaching him as he has been and saying, like, Mark, you got to make it believable. You have to make it look like you're actually going to drop him. And he's like, but that seems mean. And then Nolan's like, here, let me show you. And then he grabs the ankle, takes the ankle from Mark, or from Invincible, and immediately lets go. Just the comedic timing of it too was fucking perfect.
Yeah, he's like, here, let me show you, and he just drops him instantly. So good.
And then he's falling
like,
for so long.
But he's like, okay, but you're gonna catch him, right? And the whole time that they're talking, you can hear the guy's scream getting like further and further away, and he's like, yeah, eventually.
We laughed so hard at this. It was so good.
Yeah, and then it went for a while too. You continuously heard him screaming.
Yeah.
Back at the school, Mark is running late to class, and he's running down the hallways trying to get to class on time. And he is stopped in the hallway by Principal Winslow, who is voiced by Reginald Val Johnson, who was so if you guys haven't, I'm sure the majority of the people already know listeners already know this, but the school where Mark attends is Reginald Val Johnson High School. Reginald Val Johnson is the father from Family Matters, who was Carl Winslow. The principal is Principal Winslow, looks exactly like Carl Winslow, looks like Reginald Val Johnson, and that was from the comic. That was normal from the comic. But they actually got Reginald Val Johnson to voice Principal Winslow. Fucking perfect.
It's so cool.
And it was just a quick little thing, not much story there. All he says is, if you plan on attending college, we need to talk about your attendance. And they go into the into his office.
And Mark says, like, what if I don't
plan on going to college? That was it.
Yeah.
Titan breaks into like a lab where he steals a microchip, and a bunch of security guards like come and they have guns to him, and he says, listen, if minimum wage is worth your lives, then we can do this, but otherwise you can, shoot your guns in the air, and we can all walk out of this happy and alive. And they all put their guns in the air because they see he's a fucking beast. Put their guns in the air and start shooting to simulate, like, to show that, maybe
we tried
trying to take him down, but yeah.
I mean, if an investigator comes in and is like, why is all the bullets like, I mean,
Damien Darkblood would get to the bottom of it. So he steals the microchip and walks out. Mark texting Amber about being late, and he's like in costume, and he's like in the middle of the city. You can't really see anything around him. It's like a full headshot. And as he's texting, we can see the text messages on the screen. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry I'm late. And she's like, it's fine. Just make sure that you're not late for dinner with my mom this week. And the whole time that he's texting, he's getting hit in the back with like a metal beam, and he doesn't even flinch. And he like a brick,
and then a mailbox.
A mailbox. I think he gets hit with a car too, doesn't he, or something? No, it's really big.
No, the mailbox is the last thing.
And it's just not even phasing him, and it's just really funny.
So, I thought a really cool like thing that I don't want to go unnoticed is that when they're texting, it's auto-correcting some of the words or auto-filling, and I just think that that's a really cool like thing. So great job.
And then he even autocorrects himself and puts like a star next to it.
Yeah, whoever like wrote that and edited it and did that, I think that was a really cool like touch to make it seem more real.
Mm-hmm. And of course, hers show up fully typed, because that wouldn't make sense for it to show her typing out.
Right.
So at this point, I think it was at this point, because I don't know if there's going to be much more, but at this point, we're getting the feeling from Amber that Mark is late all the time, and there's some drama there. And last episode, they had their first date and first kiss. Mm-hmm. And in this episode, she's, getting fed up with him for how late he is all the time. So we'll talk about
2 months.
this. Yeah. Well, 3. But
3 months?
They don't say that yet. But at this point, when we're watching it, I'm like, this feels odd. So... Go on.
I don't think it feels odd. I think that it felt appropriate because like she can't keep getting ditched and then just be like, this is normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is once she says it's been 3 months, then I was like, oh, okay, this is great.
Yeah.
It was weird up until that point though, because last episode they had this first kiss. They were so happy. They went on their first date. Now we watch the next episode. He's late all the time. Why are you late all the time? And it's like, wow. I mean, how much time has passed? I didn't assume that time had passed, so it felt weird to me.
Okay.
Yeah. But once I know,
right.
I think it's great. Sure.
Next we get Titan, who goes to meet his boss, and we meet Machine Head and his like side lackey Isotope. Mm-hmm. Machine Head, when he talks, is so cool. He talks in like this auto-tune type of like broken, like distorted kind of machine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like so good. It's awesome how
it was a cool way to show that he's like fully digital. You know what I mean? Like from the neck up, because you can't really have him just sound like robot. You know what I mean? And have like a digital voice. At some points though, it sounded very sing-songy. Like,
I like that though. I almost
like he's like, I'm gonna turn you into a driveway, or like I'm gonna to gravel my driveway. I was like, that sounded like he was like making a fucking song.
I didn't, because the reason why I liked that was because it was like you said, Bill. In the moment, he was screaming and he was pissed off, and he just sounded kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Bill, is that because auto-tune like that just reminds you of songs, or is it because you know what I mean? Because I don't know. I thought I liked it. No, I liked it, and I definitely agree. It sounded at times it was like, okay, I know this is auto-tune because it sounds like auto-tune from a song.
Yeah, it's at some points.
But I think that's more of a bad thing against songs that use auto-tune versus this.
Oh, it is.
You know what I mean?
Bill, are you saying that you didn't like it? You thought it was bad?
I'm saying that I liked it when it was subtle. But I didn't like it when he was like really melodic in his voice, like when he was like, "Oh, I'll turn you into gravel."
Long
so it was boo 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 boo. So when you have that kind of like, melody in your voice and you put an auto-tune filter over it, it sounds like he's fucking being like, he's writing a song,
about to sing it.
And it took.
I think they were meant to do that though.
I guess so. I think what
it
they
only
meant to
happened
do
when
is
he was like pissed off, and it's like. I don't know.
So you think
it really starts like
you think it was supposed to sound ridiculous? Not that
I think it was supposed to sound. Yeah, I did.
I loved it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, so Titan delivers the chip that he stole from the lab to Machine Head. Machine Head takes it and like puts it in the side of his head. Like again, his whole head is a machine, and he like gets like super powered up. We don't really know what it's doing. We just know that it like amped him up in some sort of way. Mm-hmm. Titan says, "All right, like I paid my debt. I'm done. Like I'm out. I don't work for you anymore." And Machine Head's like, yeah, you do. He's like, this is what you do. What are you going to go get a normal job? That's not you. You're like, with your superpowers, like you're a killer. And he's like, and you need the money. And Titan kind of reaffirmed, like, no, like I'm done. I'm out. And he goes, Machine Head's like, listen, I know where your family is. I know where your family lives. I own you. And then Titan like breaks, like he goes to like hit Machine Head, or so you think, and then he just comes down and breaks his desk, and he's like, Machine Head's like, that's exactly why I'm not letting you go. You're too much of a beast. Plus, this desk was
now you need to pay for this desk.
Imported Italian maple. So that was fun. Next scene, Mark is trying to push and stop an android from hitting Earth.
An android. Interesting.
An asteroid. And Nolan is just there with his arms folded, kind of training him on what to do. And Mark is struggling with it, but he figures it out. He ends up stopping it. And then Nolan's like, all right, now just throw it back into space. And Mark, punches, like gets a good grip on it and throws it back into space. And then Nolan's like, that was actually kind of a small one. And Mark's like, that was a small one? He's like, yeah, you should have seen the one that I stopped a few years back. It was the size of Texas, which I thought was cool because I remember in the news a few years ago there was an asteroid that they were talking about was going to be in Earth's vicinity that was the size of Texas. So a couple years ago, so I thought that was kind of a cool call out. Which I didn't miss anything here. Next scene, again. Mark is late, but this one is the big one. He missed his dinner with Amber's mom, and Amber is pissed. And she's like, am I important to you, Mark? You don't prioritize me. You always have excuses. You always try to like make up for things, by bringing me cheesecake and by, taking me to fairs and stuff, but you're not prioritizing me the way that you should be. Yeah. And Mark just says like, I know, like, I understand that, you're totally right. I'm struggling right now prioritizing family things, that he's got a lot of things going on in his family and he's having trouble prioritizing it. And she just basically says like, well, dude, like you need to figure it out.
Or she's like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, she's like, this isn't going to work.
Did you think
stops her and he's like, no, listen, like and it's kind of alluding to him. He's about to tell her like, I'm invincible, but he doesn't. And he backtracks and he says, I'm going to do better. And she says, well, you better.
I actually thought he was going to tell her in this scene. Because it's the same thing. Like, how many times can he be late? And it shows, like, I mean, we've got fucking every scene with Mark so far is him being late with Amber, and it just makes him seem like an asshole. Yeah.
This was also like where she said that this was the big one. This was the dinner with my mom. This was, 3 months now, Mark. And, that's when she drops that in there.
Yeah. Yep. Next scene, we get Mark is outside walking home. And he kicks a rock because he's frustrated, and it flies into the air. Nolan calls him.
It damages the tip of a house. Like it breaks it off the tip of a house.
Nolan calls him and tells him that the elephant is robbing a store downtown, and it would be good practice for him to kind of just go and stop him. And then you hear, and I was kind of confused on this on what I heard at first, but you hear apparently the Elephant Man like screeching in the background of the phone.
Yeah. Mark doesn't want to do it. He puts the phone to the side, and in that moment you hear Elephant, trumpet not
Elephant Man.
Over the phone. Great. So funny.
Then we get a scene where Titan goes home, and he's very clearly in like a what's the word?
Apartment.
Like, yeah, but like not just an apartment,
What?
Is that what you thought I was going for?
Yes, I didn't know if you knew what you were trying to say.
Like a slum, like a
Yeah, like I was like, thank you, Bill. You understood where I was going. But like,
no, it's just
for
an
lack of a
apartment.
better term, it's not just an apartment though. It's not like an apartment like you live in an apartment. It's like I was drawing to the fact that he is very poor.
Low income housing.
Very low income, very poor. So he goes there and it shows his daughter, it shows his wife, his daughter gives him a big hug. He lives in a very loving home. And that's the first that we see of that. He's a real human being.
Yeah, she even says, "Oh, you got my text," and then his wife's like, "Well, at least we know we have service then still," eluding that obviously.
And she even says, "So we're not out, are we?" You know what I mean? Like
talking about machine.
She knows. I didn't
that.
catch that the first time I watched the episode. I didn't quite get what she meant.
She knows that he is, doing what he's doing for Machine Head and that they wanted to get away from him. And she's like, so we're not out yet, are we? And he's like, it's complicated. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, whatever. She gets like pissed off. Then he goes up to the terrace, like outside of their building, outside of their window, and his daughter comes out and wants to sit with him. She looks up and she says, look, a superhero. And you see Invincible carrying the elephant by his trunk. It's like flying down the street. And the daughter's sitting with Titan and says, calls him out and sorry. Actually, that's later. I'm getting ahead of myself. He says, she says, what's his name? And Titan says, he calls himself, and then we get the title screen, Invincible with the one splat. Next scene, we get Debbie, who finds Damien's notebook. She like grabs the notebook and she breathes, and you can see the cold air. So like his presence, like kind of around the notebook.
It's very cool. Like it's a haunting kind of feeling. You know what I mean? Like Damien's from hell. He is a demon. It is scary. Like it's not. It's cool. Also, the notebook. The front of it is the Book of the Dead. It's obviously a wink to the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead series. I thought that was such a fucking cool little thing. Which, did we see that in the other episodes, or did we always see it flipped over with him writing in it?
Yeah, I think that's where it was. Which is why I think it would have been nice if we had seen that cover, and then in a previous episode, and then at the end of episode 4, you see the cover up on top of something, in the closet.
So she starts going through the notebook and she sees like all the theories that Damien had, and all these writings and scribblings, and in the center of one of the pages it says costume and it's circled multiple times.
It says DNA on it.
Yeah. Yep.
I paused it on there because I was like curious to see what else it said. One of the tabs or one of the post-its says Utah. And it was like, that's an interesting thing because in
Guardians,
the comic, it was in Utah. It's not in the show.
Yeah.
And then another one was orchid, and it said the word orchid, which are I want to say the white flowers all over the Grayson household.
I have a problem with this. I think that it is so obvious that if Nolan had blood all over his fucking costume, that they would have checked the DNA on it. I think that's really, really like dumb to
Why do you think
have that be? Because he's covered in blood, and he's like, you don't think that they would take samples of all the blood that was on there, especially if Cecil thought that it was Nolan the entire time, or do you just think that he doesn't care?
He didn't.
He already knew.
Cecil didn't think that until Damien brought it to him way later. And by that time, Nolan already got the costume back, which we get a flashback to.
Which was in the Global Defense Agency.
Let me just say this. Let me just say this so that we can get past this. Once she sees the notebook and she sees costume circled, we get a flashback to, I believe it was episode 2, where we even called this out on the podcast, where we thought it was kind of like, weird and out there where when Nolan kind of was revived and was leaving the hospital, he looked at the receptionist and says, I want my costume. It's mine. It's government property. Give it to me. Now that kind of makes sense because he knew that was evidence. So go ahead, Bill. What were you saying about it?
Which Zane would have known it was evidence. Obviously it's fucking evidence. But
Nolan knows that it's evidence, but Cecil didn't even suspect. Couldn't even think that it was Nolan at that time.
I disagree. I 1000% disagree.
So
Cecil even says that he knew that it was Nolan and that he just needed to know why.
No, he didn't. He never said that. Damien called it out and was like, dude, like, yeah, but Damien came to him in the end of episode 2 when he was like, I don't want to hear your stupid theories anymore. And then that's when he was like, put a surveillance on the Grayson home.
No, Ryan, what do you think? Because
I think that when they found Nolan and they found everybody dead, I don't think he was thinking it was Nolan. I think that the costume comes off. We're trying to save Nolan's life. A day or two passes. Maybe they didn't think to test it yet. That's the headcanon that only makes sense. Because then otherwise, you're right, Bill. Then why wouldn't they test it? So they just didn't. So we have to assume they didn't. My bigger concern, or not concern or whatever, but the bigger
say what I'm about to say.
The bigger thing is there was blood everywhere. Everybody's blood everywhere. Well, that doesn't prove anything. So I'm curious about that. Not only that, but why are you keeping the costume in your house?
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, I mean, he could have launched it into space.
That's what I mean.
He could have flew it to the sun. Here's what I'm going to say, and here's why I still think that it's stupid. And just let it be stupid. It was missed. Darkwing, War Woman, none of them would really have all of the DNA from every single Guardian on them. Nolan's costume has everyone's blood on it. Like, why?
Yeah.
But Red Rush's only has his on it. War Woman's might have Nolan's on it. There you go. If War Woman has Nolan's DNA on her fucking knuckles and stuff, like, come on. I should fucking investigate this.
No, Bill, the problem with what you were saying is you don't know and we don't know what the fuck it means yet. We don't. Yeah, you're like, the DNA is on there. I know exactly what they're going to find on there, and it's stupid what they're going to find on there because it should be everywhere else too. You don't know what they're going to find on there. We don't know why the significance in the costume.
Perhaps
we don't know.
Perhaps it's just because maybe Damien Darkblood needed to touch it so he could see the whole picture. That's something that
we don't know the significance of the costume yet. We just know that it's important.
He was touching blood or pieces of stuff. And
that's the only thing that makes sense then. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Which would also bring Damien Darkblood back into the show because we need to get him the costume.
When he touched Red Rush's brains, he saw what happened to him. When he touched the crushed green crystal from Green Ghost, he saw what happened to her. Mm-hmm. So that's a good point, Ryan, is that maybe he needs to touch his costume.
Why else show that ability if it wasn't going to come back? There we go.
Loaded gun. There we go. See,
there we go. Moving on.
Thanks to my fucking argument. There we go. We got it.
Hold on. Sorry, not moving on just yet because I have a question about that theory. Damien already knows that it was Nolan. He already knows.
True.
So what would that significance be?
As does Cecil. As does.
Yeah.
So why would they call that power back?
Guys, we just don't know. We just don't know. We need more. We just don't know. All right.
Moving on. Okay. So Nolan catches her like with the notebook too, and she kind of like passes it off. Or he doesn't catch her with the notebook. Yeah. She puts it behind her back, and then they just like change the subject.
This was a great scene, by the way.
Yeah.
Go ahead, TJ.
But do you have anything else you want to say about that scene? Because
No. I think the next one.
Okay. So Eve is at home and she's talking with her parents, and her parents are arguing with her about breaking up with Rexplode. And they basically say like the only reason why we were okay with you doing this superhero thing is because we knew that Rex was doing it with you and he can like look out for you. And she's like, dude, like they're like screaming at her for it. They're screaming back and forth. And then she's like, finally like, well, Rex cheated on me. And then her father was like, well, all guys make mistakes. Forgive him. Don't be
dude.
Yeah. He's like, don't.
He said, don't be a. And
he was about to call her a bitch.
Bitch, yeah.
And she like starts to tear up a bit, And then he like calms down and he's like, listen, you're an 18-year-old girl. You can't keep doing this bullshit on your own. And Eve flips out and she's like, I can rearrange atoms on a molecular level. And she's like changing the room around her.
Thank you.
Kind of like a back the fuck off biatch.
Preach.
Type of move.
Preach.
And says, I don't even know if I want to be a part of this anymore. And they're like, thank God. And she's like, I don't even know if I want to be a part of this family anymore. And then she like storms off.
She creates a door in the wall
by cutting their family photo in half.
Yeah, and then the dad says, "Don't you leave that door there." Like, dude, thank you. So Eve can do anything with her power. She can manipulate atoms and do anything that she wants to. I'm so glad it was established.
Yeah, that's the first time that we actually understand what she's doing.
I did not expect this scene at all. I did not expect to see the parents, and I love that we got her saying what her powers are. Yeah. I mean, the throwback to like her relationship with Rex. I mean, this whole scene, again, this is what this episode was to me, where it was like, here's a ton of cool stuff, and there's even more of this stuff later on. I mean, I loved it. That was really awesome.
Eve's dad is a fucking asshole, and here's another great example of them showing it in the show in a different way that wasn't in the comic book. Like him saying, get back together with your boyfriend that cheated on you because like he's better than you. Like, what a fucking misogynist asshole. Like I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And then Eve tearing up, it was tragic. It was, oh my God, so good. Fuck him though. Such an asshole.
Then we get a scene where Invincible is flying, and the song "Alive" by Battle Tapes is playing. He's flying up high in the air. He's flying next to an airplane, and he sees a little girl in the window, and he waves. Then he's kind of flying a little closer to this.
I'm sorry. Is this the song that sounded like Tron? Like it was like digital?
Yeah, I think
like
so.
Like it was a little bit more. It sounded very Tron-like. Yeah. Another great fucking song. This episode.
Five songs in this one. It's crazy.
The way they use music in this whole series is great.
Yeah.
Then Invincible kind of flies down. He's flying a little closer, like above the city, and he sees on top of one of the buildings, it's spelled out Invincible, but it's missing the first letter I and the last letter E. But it's like in yellow, so he flies down and he sees that Titan is there waiting for him and says, he's like, he talks about like how you missed a couple letters, and he's like, well, paint is expensive and you have a lot of letters.
You got a long ass name.
Yeah. He thinks that Titan is just trying to pick a fight. He's like, you're the guy that I fought, a while back in episode 1. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not. He's like, I'm not a criminal.
And this was Mark at like peak arrogance. Like, so you came for a rematch then, huh? Well, it's not going to end good for you. You know what I mean? Like just being like,
he's like, I didn't come here for a fight. And he's like, yeah, because I'd win.
Yeah.
And then he's like, listen, I'm not a bad person. I'm just somebody who's, I have a bad boss, and I want you to help me take him down. And then again, with the arrogance, Mark is like, kind of saying, this is above me, like go get Fight Force to help you.
Yeah.
And that's when Titan calls him out and says like, oh, like you don't understand what goes on down here. You're some spoiled little rich boy from the suburbs. You don't know what actually happens, like what crime is. And he says, let me show you what you don't see from up there.
He's like, right now we get the carrying.
He's like cradling him like a baby, flying. Invincible is cradling Titan like a baby and flying, and then Titan is like, this is some bullshit.
Which is a great, like, it still captured the essence of what made that part in the comic so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't very PC what they did in the comic now, and I think they handled it great. I think that I'm glad it was still made fun of.
Yeah.
So Titan starts to explain as we're watching the scene unfold as well, that Machine Head owns a garbage company, and they use the garbage company to kind of smuggle drugs and to deliver drugs. Machine Head owns certain blocks of apartment buildings, and he will pay off the inspectors so that they don't like come in and like
So
he
you don't
doesn't have to fix anything.
Yeah.
And then he'll burn them down just for the insurance money. And he doesn't care if anybody's inside while it's burning down. So that kind of alludes back to what Titan was doing earlier in the episode. He was burning down the apartment buildings. Yeah. Then
so Machine Head and Isotope come out of a building, and Mark's like, "Which one's Machine Head?"
Good.
So funny.
Yeah.
Fucking Mark.
Yeah. And he's like, and then they like look at each other and he's like, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I love that part. That's funny. So Isotope teleports Machine Head away.
This is riveting.
Titan and fucking shit. Titan is there's a fuck ton to this episode. All right. Titan and him have a real conversation, a good conversation about how, think about it, like actually helping real people with real lives. Think about that the next time you're fighting an elephant man. And then Invincible asks him like, why are you doing this? He's like, you're doing this for you. And he's like, I'm not doing this for me. And then it shows him run up to his daughter and his wife, basically showing Invincible that this is a human guy and he doesn't want to be bad. He's just caught up in a bad situation.
Is that where they're coming out of and where he meets them at? Is that the shelter that Amber
Yes, because there's a line coming up where she says that place, it starts with a B, it was like a second home. And then when Mark asks Titan about that place, he says, yeah, that place is like a second home. They used the same line twice, which was weird.
Is it possible that that's a loaded gun, Ryan? That place could potentially be destroyed?
No. No, I think it's just showing the connection. And if it was intentional, which I assume it was, that just kind of triggers for Mark that this person cares about this place. Now this person cares about this place. They come from the same home in a sense. And it pushes him over this edge because that's right then and there where he agrees to help Titan.
Next scene, we get Mark, who is telling Nolan and Debbie at the dinner table all about his interaction with Titan and how Titan wants his help. The entire conversation between Mark and Nolan, Debbie is just sitting in the middle of them and just staring off into space. So Nolan is against Mark helping Titan. He says, like, you don't know who this Titan guy is. He could be he's just taking advantage of you at best, or he could be playing you. And Nolan or Mark is saying like, no, like, I think he's just caught up in a bad situation. Like, he has a family. He doesn't want to be in this situation. And then they ask Debbie, like, what are your thoughts? And she's like, well, not everybody is always what they seem. And then she kind of like glances over at Nolan.
But Nolan's like, yeah, see, you're right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. But then she's like, but it's never a waste of anybody's time to help somebody. Or it's never beneath you to help somebody.
Yeah, because that's what Nolan was saying. Nolan was like, you don't save people. You save billions of people. You stop asteroids and everything like that. You don't help
just a
one
couple
person.
Scenes prior, he was like stopping the elephant from
again. I think that was Omni-Man like flying home, and it's like, here's the elephant trying to rob a store. Hey, Mark, get down here. Come step on these ants. Like, that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
I think it's funny how Nolan was actually right this time, though. How he was like, he's probably manipulating you and going to use you. And
it's funny because he was right and wrong. He was right, but he was wrong about what he was saying, or
how he was saying it.
Mark
or
did
the reason behind what he was saying.
Mark did ask his mom to pass the potatoes.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
So there are little things like that's why I think the whole Gary thing of holding Gary off the roof, maybe it doesn't happen, and maybe that was their way of doing it, because I have noticed like little things here and there that they do allude to the comics. Yeah. And the pass the potatoes was definitely alluding to the comics.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it could have been any food, but if they need a scene where Mark says pass the food, why not make it potatoes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then next scene, we get the teen team for the first time, and they're kind of strutting into the
Guardians.
Layer.
The Guardians, not the teen team.
Right, now they're the Guardians. Yeah. The new Guardians, I should say. They're coming into I can't get it myself, by Ace Yalone. I hope I'm saying that right.
Oh, the song?
Yeah, it's called I Can't Get It Myself by Ace Yalone. They're celebrating because they break out beer and everything, which beer was never allowed in the Guardians like sanctum. But Rex was like, yeah, that was the first thing I changed, and they're like passing out the beers. Shrinking Ray goes to give a beer to Amanda or Monster Girl and kind of hesitates, and then she's like, dude, like I'm 25.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, just remember this moment. Was this episode with Eve with her parents the first time they said the name Samantha? Because they called her Samantha.
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. We said Amanda and Monster Girl.
No, it's not.
Because they don't call her Samantha at school.
Does William say that's Samantha?
Nope, they call her Eve at school. Because I remember,
maybe
somebody online or somewhere being like, "Why aren't they calling her Samantha? Like they're all calling her Eve."
Well, she did say
only her parents call her.
No, well, they were talking when Mark first talked to her, the first conversation they ever had, where she was like, "Oh, that's kind of optimistic, isn't it, to call yourself invincible?" When she was introducing herself, she was like, "Yeah, they all call me like I'm Adam Eve,
but everybody calls me
Adam Eve. But everybody calls me Eve, but everybody calls me Eve anyways."
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's a real name.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I don't think
nobody calls her Samantha.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think anyone new to Invincible knew that her first name was Samantha.
Right.
Until now. Sorry, but yeah, they're passing out the beer and everything like that. I loved this scene.
Yeah, they're celebrating the fact that they stopped the Lizard League from turning everybody in the city into snakes. Mm-hmm. And they're having a good time. And then Black Samson, like turns his like wrist, whatever, and it shoots high frequency into the air and it breaks all of the beer bottles. And they're like, "What the hell?" And he's like, he's pissed off because they could have done a lot better. And he's like, how many people did he say? Like 22 people are in the hospital right now.
There's 2 dozen in the hospital. He says we could have been working like a team instead of working like 6 assholes or something like that.
Yeah. It's individuals like that were just doing their own thing.
It's cool that he breaks it up. Like he talks about how like Rex actually should have saved this bus of people and how Monster Girl could have helped with that and how they're there to save lives, not beat bad guys.
Yeah. And how I
like how they he actually brought up an actual simulation, like a virtual reality type thing. And he was like, this is what you could have done. Mm-hmm. Like, you see this bus right here? You weren't even paying attention to that. And then Rex is like, well, what could we have done? And he's like, well, you could have taken out the tires and then Monster Girl could have went over and then stopped the bus. But now you guys just let it crash because you weren't paying attention. Like, I thought it was cool that he actually brought up. And it was
neat seeing King
Lizard.
Is it King Lizard?
Komodo.
No, there's Komodo Dragon, and I think it is King Lizard.
I think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
And then
I liked how Black Samson actually like was flexing his I'm an actual hero. Like I've been doing this Guardian, or I've been a Guardian for fucking years. Like, and he was so right. And he like even Robot just sat there and was like, oh yeah,
dude. When he like called out Shrinking Ray, and he's like, yeah, and Shrinking Ray, you could have done the blah 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 to stop King Lizard from using his snake gun or whatever he called it, and she's like, Snakerator or whatever it was called,
and she shrinks a little bit.
Oh my gosh, that subtle thing was really cool. But then I mean. You're right. He's kind of being like putting them in their place, and he's right. And even duplicates, like, he has a point. Rexplode, talks shit again, and then Amanda saying, as always, I'm the only one who sacrifices anything here because I am now a week younger than I was yesterday or something.
Yeah. No, 1 week. Yeah. She's 1 week. Yeah. So did we actually know how fast she de-ages?
I mean,
I think science to it.
I think it depends on how long she's in monster form, and it just.
No, I don't think so. I think this is the first time in comic or show that we have an actual amount of time that we know she loses when she transforms.
I'm pretty sure in the comic it says the amount of time she's in monster form is the amount of time she ages backwards.
Really? Then why did she de-age a week? She lost a week.
I don't remember that in the comic.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Bill.
Yeah, she said she's like I'm a week younger because of this. I'm the only one who lost anything.
Maybe. Interesting.
But anyways, yes, Amanda makes that comment, and she's starting to walk away, and then Black Samson looks at Robot and was like, "Do you believe these guys?" And then Robot, looking at Amanda walk away, he goes, "Yeah, like some of them," basically saying like he's starting to have some feelings towards Amanda, I think.
I love fucking Zachary Quinto in this episode as Robot. He's so good. Like, some of them, like just his, oh my God, I love the tone of his voice and like how he doesn't have any expression and yet he's emoting so fucking well.
The way he expresses in the comic book with the, the panels matching and that skull look in the mask, they did such a good job with it.
Next scene starts out with Debbie doing the dishes in the kitchen and just straight up says, like, where do you get off, talking to Nolan, where do you get off telling Mark that, helping these people is beneath him? And he's like, again, Nolan brings up the same points that he did during dinner. Like, I just don't want him to be taken advantage of.
And this is Debbie like coming at him again, similar to last episode with
challenging him.
Yeah, with Nolan saying things like, "Well, you wouldn't understand. You don't have superpowers." And she's like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Like, you came to Earth and you knew nothing about what it was like to be a human.
You knew nothing about humans. You knew nothing about our society, and you knew nothing about what we wanted as a people. And I showowed you all of that.
I taught you how to be human."
What makes you think that I couldn't do the same thing for Mark? And he's like, well, I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah. She puts him in his place again.
Yeah.
It's great.
I taught you what it means to be human. Then Nolan is concerned that Mark is not listening to him. He's like, I'm just concerned that he's listening to this guy, but he's not listening to me. I mean us. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely a dynamic there where he feels like he's losing Mark.
Yeah, and him saying that this is all just happening so fast. He didn't think it would be so hard.
They agree that they're both in, they have Mark's best interest at heart, and they kind of hug and make up. Next scene, we get Eve and Mark talking about Eve's issues with her parents, but she doesn't go into too much detail. She's still not really openly talking about it. Mm-hmm. Amber comes over and starts talking to them about volunteering later that night, and telling Mark, like, don't be late. It's at this time.
Can you say it, Bill? Can you say it? I called it.
That.
Come on.
What? Called what?
That Eve was going to get her appreciation for helping out people through Amber.
To that. You even reacted to that when we were watching it. I think you were like, called it.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
I'm really proud of that one because that's so brilliant. I love it. That's such a good change.
It's great storytelling.
Yeah.
It's like it gives her a reason to why she's interested in this stuff as opposed to just wanting to do it for no reason.
It improves two characters.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about is that then Amber invites Eve to help volunteer
at the shelter
along with Amber and Mark at the shelter later on that night. And then she's like, I don't know, I'm kind of busy. And then she's like, oh, like what, saving the world? And then Eve was like, oh, not anymore. So yeah, and then Amber's like, then you got no excuse.
Mm-hmm. Amber tells Mark, like, this is like your last shot. Like,
yeah. So, and then Amber kind of, after Mark leaves, Amber kind of confides in Eve, saying, like, you guys have known each other for a while. Like, is Mark acting weird? And then Eve kind of reassures her without, going too deep into it. Mm-hmm. Then the next scene, we get the lone Mahler twin, and he's cloning himself again. Mm-hmm. So he goes through the whole cloning process, and the new clone wakes up, and immediately they start, speculating on which one of them is the clone. Mm-hmm. We get Robot off in the shadows, and he goes, I don't understand why you guys always do that. Then they immediately attack, and Robot, like, has no issue at all, like just eluding them and just flipping in the air, and like in like a really cool like Spider-Man type of way. And he's kind of like calms them down and was like, listen, I just need your help, your expertise in replication and tissue growth. He gives them the sample of Rex's blood that he took in the last episode. And he says, I'll make it worth your while.
Yep.
Next scene, Debbie sends Nolan. This is so sick. Debbie's on the phone with
awesome.
Nolan just outside of their, like, around the block from their house, and says, Nolan, can you, I want, like, sending you on a couple errands if you don't mind. Can you, like, go to France and pick this up, and then go to Germany and pick this up, and then go to, you know, like, not specifically there, but like she sends him all around the world to get all this different stuff. Then she takes out her phone and sets a timer for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She rips the whole house apart. Like she's throwing things on the floor. There's clothes everywhere. She's looking for something. We know that she's looking for the costume. The whole scene, she's looking for different things. She sees a grate that's like, by the ceiling that she thinks it might be in there. So she gets up to the ceiling and pulls the grate out. There's nothing in there. Then she looks behind her and she sees on top of the cupboard, folded up, is the costume. She takes the costume
in like a bag.
Yeah. She sees the costume, like a big hole in the chest from Red Rush punching him in the chest. And then just as she sees it, Nolan comes home. And she has to hide it really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
He could have thrown it into space. Like
maybe there's a reason, man. Maybe there's a reason.
But they could have found it.
Maybe he just takes it home and tosses it up there and thinks he'll get to it later and forgets about it. I don't know.
I guess so.
We'll see.
Maybe he is just that confident and cocky in his
Next scene, we get Titan, who takes Invincible, or actually they're on, before this, they were on the roof and they were talking about just kind of like what their plan was and how they were going to go in and take out Machine Head and what they were going to do. And nothing really important there other than the fact that Titan did say, he's like, I took care of Isotope, so he's not going to be an issue. He's not going to be able to like come in and just teleport him away whenever, right? So
they bring up his family again, and that they stay that they've gone to the shelter.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they go in. Titan brings them to Machine Head again. They break into. They break in through the window. It was cool because he does like this cannonball through the window. That's how Titan does it. It does like this huge cannonball through the window. He takes out a couple of his like minions, I guess. Invincible blasts through like the double doors that are there, and then they go over to Machine Head's desk, and Machine Head's like not even paying attention. He doesn't even give a shit. He's like still writing things down, and he's like doing some kind of math, and he's like carry the 2 as they're trying to talk to him.
Yeah.
And he's basically Machine Head knew that they were coming, and Titan is like, you couldn't have known that this was going to happen, and we find out that that's basically what the chip does that Titan took from the labs. It plays out all the
possibilities,
problematic possibilities, or all the possible possibilities that could have taken place, and that was it. So he kind of knew it was happening.
He can like tell the future, like pretty much. It's a pretty cool.
I'm trying to think of the right word.
Probability. It's a probability thing that it's like he says quantum probability something.
He's like, you won't understand.
Yeah.
And he also says like, so I knew that you were gonna be like kind of break down my door, which was also Italian maple, by the way. Loading back to that. Isotope shows up. And Mark is like, I thought you took care of him. And he's like, I know what I said. But they don't talk about it again. Then Machine says that, you guys are right. Like, you guys are totally out of my league. Like, what am I going to do here? I'm completely out of my league, except I
have
rich.
money.
I've got money. And as he's saying that, all these, like, side characters, like, little, like, B characters kind of show up.
Isotope is teleporting them in.
Yep.
We get Kursk, we get Battle Beast, we get Megmaniac, we get Tether Tyrant, and we get Furnace. Just like a bunch of people that look like, henchmen. Then we go back to the shelter. We get Amber and Eve volunteering, just shows them there. And it's nothing really that they're really talking about other than the fact that Mark is starting to run a little late.
Right.
Back to Invincible and Titan, they're all fighting and they're losing against them because it's 2 against 5.
What do you guys think of the designs. Like this is our first.
Furnace looks identical. Like, Kursk looks identical. Magmaniac looks a little different. He's like entirely magma instead of having a little bit of an outfit where all you see is his arms, legs, and head.
Yeah, he's
exposed.
very malleable.
Yes,
like, he's just very malleable.
Which is fine. I'm cool with that. I mean, it makes more sense. A costume wouldn't stick around long anyways. Tether Tyrant looks pretty spot on.
Tether Tyrant looks fucking awesome.
Battle Beast looks the most different, but he still looks good. It looks like an animated version of Battle Beast.
Do you guys know who played the voice of Tether Tyrant?
No.
Reginald VelJohnson.
No.
He did.
I mean, he just grunts, right? It's just like grunts and everything. I don't think he says anything.
He may have said something. I don't know.
Huh. Did that show up on the thing?
I forget where I saw it. I think I saw it on like IMDb or something like that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's gonna follow is a lot of fight scenes where there's some key moments, but a lot of it's hard to describe because it's just describing action, which is hard to do.
Right.
It's so good though. The fight scenes are great. I love them seeing all the different abilities. Mark getting thrown around by Tether Tyrant and electrocuted by Kursk, and Battle Beast fucking up Titan and bashing him to the walls and stuff. Like, it's all so good.
This was a way better. Like, thank God. It was a way better representation of Mark's rage, like, because he actually just like kind of like tears off Tether Tyrant's tethers and is like, you guys are fucking dead.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about that is the fact that we've seen him do that kind of rage before, and it always works out for him. And that's how it started. You guys are fucking dead.
Yeah.
And he starts taking every one of them out.
Who's next?
Who's next? And then Battle Beast just
stops him in his tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And slams his head into the ground and says, what does he say? Hello, boy, or something like that.
Boy.
What do you guys think of his voice? This is it. You have a voice for Battle Beast.
I think sounds good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Do you like it?
What? So when I read Battle Beast,
I think it's a little less growly than I expected. It sounds a little bit more clear and concise.
Yeah.
But especially towards the end when he really starts getting angry, it sounds even better.
I always read him as very monotone and like very emotionless. You know what I mean? Like never really having like rage or never being like, oh, what's that? Like he's just like, oh, what's that? You know? And to your point, a little bit more gravelly, but I think they have enough gravelly voices in here. The Mauler twins, Monster Girl. I think actually after watching it again, I really fucking like his voice. Like
he's very articulate. Like he sounds super intelligent.
He's more melodic in his voice. He's like, oh, hi, boy. Like his voice moves a lot, and I like it a lot. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
So Battle Beast is just fucking up Mark, and then all of the others like Kursk and Furnace are taking down Titan. Then we get the teen team who break through, or the new Guardians. The teen team. I know, I'm the same boat.
So they say that Cecil called in a tip, an anonymous tip.
Someone called in an anonymous tip to Cecil.
Who called?
It was probably Titan, I would think.
See,
you think it was Omni-Man?
I thought Titan at first, and then I was like, is it Omni-Man?
I think it's
No, it wasn't Omni-Man.
No, TJ, what was that?
I think it was Omni-Man.
I don't know, man. I mean, we did get a scene during the fight where Mark flies up through the ceiling and Omni-Man's up there watching. I don't know, because Nolan could see this as an opportunity to be like, yeah, send them in. Maybe they'll help Mark out. Maybe they'll die. I don't care. But Titan, when did Titan call them in?
To be able to assess the situation and know that Mark was in real danger.
Yeah. When did Titan call them in?
I don't know. But here's like...
Titan call who in?
Nolan sat there and watched Mark get obliterated.
Yeah.
He watched as medics came in and were like, we're losing him. Like, we don't know if we're going to be able to keep him. And he just fucking sat there and watched, because Viltrumites have no time for the weak. They don't. And if this was a test for Mark. TJ, mark my fucking words.
You were wrong. Come on, you were wrong.
When?
When you thought that this was completely staged by Nolan, it wasn't. That's what we originally thought when we had like the the trailer review and you thought that it was going to be staged by Nolan, like I don't see it like that. I don't see it like that. I don't see it like yes, I think that the point of him watching was not the fact of him testing Mark and being like, oh, if he's weak, he's weak. No, it's going back to the argument that they had at dinner. I told you not to do this and you did it anyways, and now you're gonna fucking learn.
At risk of him dying, because he's probably gonna die in like, you know.
You think that Nolan would have let him die right there after everything, after all the work that he put in?
Yes.
If done right, 1,000%. If Mark died because he's that weak to be taken down, he is not a worthy fucking Viltrumite.
How could you say that, TJ, when he literally did? Like,
he fucking
as far as the end of the episode, he's about to die.
Later. Because he doesn't later.
He doesn't what later?
Why doesn't Nolan kill him himself? Now we're really getting
because of what happens, because of that conversation that happens,
because of the conversation that they have.
That's the whole point of why argument. He stops. But in this case, why didn't he go down and save him then, TJ? If you think that because he might be dead at the end of this episode,
just to say told you so. No,
But it's the whole significance of the argument that happened at the dinner table. You don't think that those are completely unrelated?
No, I think not. I think that he Mark or Nolan even said, I think you'd be making a huge mistake.
Right, and this is him being like, I was fucking right. Now you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, but
and he doesn't care whether or not he dies.
Right, that kind of motivation.
I disagree with that.
Of having to be right about this argument is not what a Viltrumite feels. A Viltrumite's like, if this person is not able to win this battle, they are fucking weak, and whether or not it's his son, he doesn't care. I mean, he obviously likes his son. He does
care, though. Like, he does care. A Viltrumite is different than Nolan. Like, Nolan is a Viltrumite, but he's not what you're thinking he is.
Not yet, TJ.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough because, again, it's tough because so we could just say that Nolan assumed he would be fine, right?
You were the one that said that you think that he was the one that called in Cecil. Why would he do that?
He didn't. Titan did.
Ryan.
I just don't know who else could have. When would Titan have called him in?
I agree with you. It was Nolan.
Yeah.
It wasn't Nolan.
Yes, it was, dude.
I don't think it was.
And that goes to my point to say that he's going to help Mark. Just doesn't want to put in all that fucking work. Literally, the whole point of him being there, why didn't he take over the world 10 years ago?
So TJ, the only question then, TJ, is why didn't he help? Then why didn't he help?
Cecil? Why didn't he take over the world 10 years ago?
No, why?
It was because I already answered why he didn't help. It was, you didn't listen to me at dinner. Now you're going to fucking pay. I don't think that Nolan really thought that he was going to die because he's the one who called in Cecil. Called in the new Guardians.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see. I don't know. I just don't think we just don't know everything yet, but
theories, but yeah.
So the Guardians show up.
The Guardians show up and they get fucked up.
Highlights after watching again: Rex throwing fucking refrigerator magnets up and Duplicate throwing them. That was that's not. We're not talking about that right now.
No, that's a lot later.
I mean, they all get messed up. They all get messed up. Duplicate gets knocked out. Rex gets knocked out. Black Samson gets buried under some rubble.
And it's pretty much all Battle Beast taking him out.
And Battle Beast goes up to crush Mark. Black Samson tries to stop him. He doesn't quite. And then Battle Beast slams his mace into Mark's stomach, breaking it open.
Well, Battle Beast says, I was promised this world had worthy opponents. Yeah. That's the whole point of him being there. That's why he's here. He's looking for people to fight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he says killing you will be an act of mercy.
Yeah.
Which is a classic line.
And then Black Samson drops his armor down and goes to attack him. Battle Beast catches his hand.
No powers.
No. But again,
Black Samson is showing
amazing,
his heroic.
Right? Yeah. The fact that we got pounded into us via Rex that he doesn't have powers. You don't have powers. You who are you, an old man, just making fun of him. And here's the guy that's going to take off his malfunctioning powers and just run at this guy that just decimated everybody with nothing but his fists. That's great. That's perfect, man. And Battle Beast, of course, just catches it, shatters his hand, takes him, slams him into the ground a couple times, and throws his
insanely brutal
his pulped body to the floor. But that's not all.
Then we get Monster Girl versus Battle Beast,
which is so cool.
And it doesn't last long because
she gets a couple hits in though.
She gets like 2 or 3 hits, but once Battle Beast realizes like, oh, I'm being attacked right now, it's immediately over.
Yeah,
and you can see it. You can see it happen. He takes a stance and he's like, all right, now it's my turn. And he grabs her by the throat, says, "Foolish child," or something like that. Throws her around.
Pathetic.
Yeah, pathetic child. When she lands, and then he jumps in the air and lands on her fucking chest and like crushes it. And she coughs up blood. He grabs 2 boulders and slams down, and you see blood explode all of our faces.
Dude,
we couldn't talk. We were just like, what the fuck is happening?
I wasn't really surprised until like a few frames later, after it was showing them all on the ground, and then it showed her face, and it was just she had no face. It was her skull.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, oh, fuck.
It was crazy. Before that happens, though, Robot rages out and he screams no, like he's like no, like because Amanda's getting fucked up, and he shoots this power beam at Battle Beast, and it like
scars him.
It scars him, like he's got a little missing hair patch right there.
It also pushes him like away from Monster Girl a bit too, and he's like kind of in the background now.
Yeah,
and that's when Rex stands up and he's like, "You all messed up."
Yeah,
and indeed. And Robot says, "Indeed." Cool things that happen here. So this is where he throws the refrigerator magnets, right? Did you catch that Shrinking Ray shrinks and Rex grabs her?
Yeah.
And then throws her.
He puts her into
Magmaniac,
and then she bursts out of him.
Yeah. It was cool. It was cool that I caught it the second time. I'm like, oh, that's fucking neat. That's cool.
But the reason why the refrigerator magnets was cool was because they took them, like Rex charged them, and then they took the refrigerator magnets and threw them onto Furnace, and they stuck to Furnace and then exploded. And that was awesome. That's why it was cool. Battle Beast says, "This fight is beneath me. There's no honor in killing insects."
Like holding up Monster Girl and Black Samson the same way he did in the comics, but with someone else instead of Monster Girl. So cool.
And then
so are we not getting that person?
The trivia on the X-ray says that it's a callback to that, but with Bulletproof instead. But Bulletproof has not been introduced into the show yet,
because we get that same visual in the comics, just with a different character.
Yeah. I think we'll see Bulletproof season 2.
Yeah, I think so too.
Next episode.
I hope it's not this season, because I want it to be far enough away from the first episode where they showed like a costume.
Again.
Hopefully season 2.
The team is severely underpowered at this point, because they're missing a lot.
Last thing I want to say about Battle Beast is my sister, she just texted me and she said about like the scene that she just watched. And what's cool is that everyone watching the show is being treated to who Battle Beast is and what makes him cool, because in the when we first see him in the comic book, he's not this fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Like he's not, but this is how he is later on in the comic, and it's fucking crazy that we're getting to see it now. Like this is who he is. Just really quick, my sister, she was like, what the fuck was that lion, and why was he stronger than a Viltrumite? Like just going crazy. I'm like, that's fucking Battle Beast. And she's like, well,
don't tell
insane.
her too much.
And I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's it.
That's amazing.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, one other thing I want to call out too is like when Rex was like, you fucked up. And then they started with the refrigerator magic, like you guys were saying, like he threw Shrinking Ray. They were working as a team. And that's what Black Samson was saying earlier in the episode. Like now they're finally starting to work as a team. And that's ultimately why they won. But they also only won because Battle Beast was like bored of it and left.
Yeah.
But they took down everybody else.
A couple of call outs to some really cool animation with duplicate not only during this fight, but when they get the beers. I really liked it because like she walks up to get the beer and then one walks away and then the other one's still there and then that one walks away and then the same thing happens in reverse when they go to sit down. It's just the way, it looked really cool. Almost tricks your mind for a second. Yeah,
it does, because when there were two of her and they each had two beers, when they combined, she's holding 4. Or however many she
I didn't
had.
Even. Oh, yeah. I need to watch that again.
It was really cool. Yeah.
Back at the center, we get Amber and Eve who are discussing, and you can tell that they're becoming friends now. They're actually like building a friendship with each other. And Amber is getting more and more pissed off. She's like, "That's it. I'm done with Mark. I'm sick of it. That he's late again." Back to Invincible again. The medics are there trying to save Mark and Titan. Cecil is there with Donald, and he tells Donald, like, we need to save him. He's important. And my iPad just died.
And Cecil says, get a blood sample just in case.
Yeah.
He says, get it to the lab.
We were all like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because that is not anything that happens in the comic.
Mark's fading in and out of consciousness. He sees his dad up there for a second, and then he's gone. And I think at this point, it shows Machine Head get taken into custody as well. So he's now
and Cecil takes that chip out.
Yeah, Cecil takes the chip out, which I think is going to be important. But Robot holding Monster Girl, who transforms back into Amanda, and you see her a little bit later with the ventilator on and the mask on, and he says that I'm going to fix you, which is cool. And they're carrying away Black Samson on a stretcher, Mark on a stretcher, and then I think it's just Debbie on the phone, shocked, right?
Yep. No one flying up.
Like flying up to the house, and then she's on the phone.
Flying up to the house, and she doesn't say anything. Nothing. But obviously, it's insinuating Mark is in critical condition, like bad shape.
And then we assume that between Amber and Eve just got the call, whether it was
Eve gets a text
Cecil
message
or something
about Mark, and this was interesting.
It was a phone call. She has to take it, and she steps away for a minute, and she's talking. Yeah,
I thought she just looked at her phone and was like, "I gotta go."
She did, but then she said, guys are assholes, but I'm telling you this, Mark loves you, and if he could be here right now, he would be.
Yeah.
I like the line that she says, though. She says, Eve tells Amber, I know it's hard loving someone who doesn't love you back. But Mark loves you. Mm-hmm. He'd be here if he could.
Yeah.
And I think that says something.
Yeah.
Then we get the final scene before the credits, and we see Isotope with Titan. So that explains why Titan didn't, quote unquote, take care of Isotope, because
calling him boss. He's like, I don't know what you said, boss, to make him help you out, but
it worked.
I'm going back on what I said. I think that Titan called in the Guardians, because if that's the case, then Titan knew that Isotope was going to bring the henchmen in, which means he wanted to even out the fight and bring in the Guardians to take care of the henchmen.
I was going to say that. If Isotope was working with Titan, why would he bring in the henchmen?
But then Titan thought about that and said that I'll make an anonymous call so that it would even the playing field, even though it didn't.
And to strengthen your opinion, and also what's my opinion, is he says, who are you going to call in case you take Machine Head? And he's like, I'll call Cecil over at the Global Defense. And he's like, look, you're already thinking ahead. So Titan knew who to call.
Interesting.
Do you know what I'm talking about, TJ? When they're sitting on the rooftop and he's like, who would you?
Yeah, I know. I remember him saying that, but just because he said, like, if I tell some stranger, like,
I'll just call that doesn't mean he knows.
He was like, I'm just going to, like, know exactly how to get a hold of the head of the defense agency.
It's a comic book.
It'd be a little more difficult to do that, but
I don't think so.
Okay. So yeah, then we get that scene,
which is great. To the music again. I mean, here comes the king.
Music
it's so poignant and
make way for the king.
Make way for the king. And then
Titan is now in a like a full suit, and he says, "I'm gonna make this city better." He's like you. I don't know what you said to him. Like he said something about him lying, and he's like, well, I wasn't lying. I am going to make this city better, and it's going to be starting with these people. And it shows his family run in and give him a big hug. Then credits. Get out of here, Ollie. After credits, Donald is back at the defense agency, and he gets in an elevator and goes way down deep to the bottom of the bottom floor, and he's talking to a scientist who has the blood sample from Invincible, and the scientist is like, I don't know, man, like we tried everything. We tried this, we tried affecting this, we tried adding this, and Viltrumite cells, they just won't die. And then Donald's like, just keep trying. I really have a feeling that blood is still the answer. Credits.
Dude.
Basically alluding to the fact that they're looking at Invincible's blood to try and figure out how to stop Nolan.
Yeah.
How to kill him, yeah.
Yeah. So cool,
fucking
man.
Great.
This
so cool.
That's such a cool thing that is not in the comic, that makes perfect sense, that has us just completely
Where's that gonna
at
go,
a loss.
though?
Yeah, like it can't go anywhere, right? You know what I mean?
No,
like
it won't go anywhere.
It's just showing that they're trying.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy though. I mean,
if anything,
it's showing that they're trying and showing how strong they are. It doesn't need. They don't need to come up with anything, but then maybe we're wrong. Like
we were so wrong.
So wrong.
The movie.
Prometheus trailer.
Fucking Prometheus.
And the movie.
Prometheus.
Love that episode. That's such a good episode. It's so fun. I want to watch it again. I'll probably watch it again tonight.
Again, it was just, we knew everything that was going to happen pretty much, and it was still surprising.
Yeah. Yeah. All the little things thrown in there, from Mr. Lou to Elephant to just, giving Titan a family and the motivations and Battle Beast, like everything around it, the action, the music, the comedy. They're knocking this out of the park.
Yeah. In the comic, Titan, his motivations were that he just wanted to be the top dog. You know what I mean? And even if he did,
which is good enough.
It is good enough. But this is like, he's got real motivation, and he's got people he can lose, which will give him further motivation.
The comic has always been about the gray. You know what I mean? The in between, between right and wrong, and everyone's own perception of it. And this just fits right in. It's so good. So, good stuff. We're going to wrap it up there. Remember, if you want to give us your thoughts on this episode, which, you should have seen by now, it's going live right now as we're recording this. People are, like Bill's sister, talking about it. So if you want to email your thoughts, we'll talk about it at the beginning of next week's episode. Email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Our outro song is by Wyatt Layne, as always. This one is an older one. This one's called Phantom. It's off of his first album. One of my favorites on that album. And you can find his music over on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, all that good stuff. So thank you, Bill and TJ. This has been fun. I'm going to go watch the behind the scenes for this episode and the behind the scenes for the art of the making of Invincible. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night.
All right, until next time. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Later. Talking a lot during this episode.
You are? You got some water or something?
I have Diet Dr. Pepper because it's what I have.
You don't have any water.
You don't have water.
You don't like tap water. It's gross. I'm prissy. All right. I'm bougie.
Can't drink that tap water. Okay, ready?